Let me look at my face, make sure I don't look crazy before we commit. We good.
Good to go, man.
We good. Yeah, I need a mirror in here. All right, so I'm gonna stop doing the intro with the name of the podcast because I don't really know where it's gonna go. I might change the name. So welcome to the podcast. We finally got Terrell Killing in here.
Yes, sir.
20 under 40.
Yeah.
Congrats. I saw that 20 under 40, and
Appreciate
you're not just an investor. You're a seasoned investor. You got multiple deals.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I feel like we're here to put the people on game.
Yeah, man. It's been a long time coming, man, and I'm excited to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
No, of course, it's an honor. It's a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
So, question. I guess I would like to start with how did you get into investor status? Like, did you start there and then become an agent, or were you an agent and then an investor?
Well, that's a good question. So, I initially came into real estate with the intent to be an investor.
Yeah.
And to be transparent with you, my very first investment was in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And failed horribly. Didn't know what I was doing. Went and jumped out on the ledge and, just took a swing at it. And but it taught me everything that I needed to know. Yeah. And what I mean by that is all of the pitfalls that I had, the mistakes that I made. It was an expensive lesson, but it saved me in the long run. So now I know how to, one, underwrite a deal. I know how to avoid certain situations. And also the biggest thing is I know how to identify like a good contractor, and that's the make or break most of the time in those investment deals. But to answer your question, the way I got into being a real estate agent is because I failed so horribly on the investment side initially. I needed to recoup some money. And so what I did was I started I had my license initially just to get into investing and getting access into the MLS, but that was my way of kind of recouping. And then what I did was I started, getting opportunities and listing properties and helping buyers and whatnot. And then I just kept reinvesting those money from the commissions and whatnot. So that was kind of my journey into investing, though.
Okay, so it sounds like you started on your own, stumbled, and then you used your license to kind of recoup yourself.
It saved me.
And jump back in. Oh, that's cool. Okay, bet. That's cool.
It saved me,
so I kind of jumped into it kind of close to that, but on the adverse. So I'm just trying to figure life out. You feel me? So I'm just trying to find out what can I sell, how can I get money. So I started with yard sales, cash for gold thing. Then I got my auction license, and then I got to I guess the next thing to sell is a house. So that's how I got here. So I'm just. And then when I'm here, now you looking at everybody, what they're doing in the industry, and they're like, oh, investing is a thing. Like, yo, you're young and you're doing. So I don't invest yet because I'm still I do have the property in St. Croix that I recently got, and I'm ready to put it together.
So you gonna just make that small?
I would start there. So
I'm saying you just gonna make that seem like it's small.
Oh yeah, I mean, because it was it's not like I went out and bought it. I inherited it, I guess. But my grandfather didn't die. He just said here, he just blessed me with it, literally last year. So I'm like.
What are you going to do with it, Airbnb? Or
I'm an Airbnb, and when I go visit home, I'm going to have a place to stay. Because that'd be my thing. I'm from there, but I grew up on the farm, and my dad died on that farm. So I don't really have, a place where I'm like, this is home. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so this going to give me that opportunity, So I'm excited. And it's right across from a fire station, so it's going to be cool. I'm going to call it a little firehouse. I'm excited.
That's
it's about to be a thing. But ultimately, I'm seeing the trend of a lot of people are just stacking their commissions and using that to invest in real estate. Yeah. So you can also, on your own listing, I've heard people saying just instead of the commission, I'll take it. That's my down payment. Have you done that?
Yeah. So I literally just sold one of my properties in Opelika, and that's in 2021. I purchased a property just that same way. The name of the game for me is leveraging into property for the least amount of money out of pocket.
Okay.
And so what I did in 2021 was I had a direct relationship with the seller, and they were ready to sell. And I said, hey, house needed a ton of work. And I said, but it would qualify for conventional financing. So that was the way I kind of got into one of my initial investment properties was utilizing conventional financing.
Mm-hmm.
But what I also did was we did a seller concession of up to, you could do up to 3%. So I got 3% and I got another 1% in commission. Okay. And so what I did was I just utilized all that money. So I really only came to close on $12,000, and so within 2 years of appreciation, I bought that from 153 and sold for 355 in 2 years.
That's
the
all right.
Went crazy.
Yeah, it did. Oh, that's perfect timing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you say you did a conventional, we talking a 5% down, 20% down?
It was 5% down.
5% down.
Primary.
Okay.
So that was the initial that I did. Renovated it, stayed in it for quite a little bit of time, a few months, and then I rented it out after that. And then I went and got me something else on my own, new primary. So I'm all out of those primaries, you know. But if I ever, could give any advice to anybody, would be to try to utilize your primary loan Even if you got to stay in it for a little bit to kind of, stay in the guidelines of, of lending, I would say do that, and then rent it out right after that, and then that becomes an investment. You just keep rinsing, repeating, and doing the same thing. So,
that's another thing I will say. Being in the game since 2013, I'm watching people build equity. So I remember I had a client who became one of my agents, and I helped him buy a property in this area, Fort Lauderdale, for $95,000. It was a 2-1. We talking like, I think it was like a 700 square foot house, like very small but a big yard. $95,000. So I helped him value it a couple years ago, and he was at like $450.
Yep.
Because there was a YMCA across the street, they tore it down. So now it's like, I think this area is becoming like Sistrunk right now. Yeah, so it's crazy how redevelopment works. So this is 2 years ago, and we had another peak since then. So I don't even know what it's worth now, but
that's the thing, man. Like, I'm in the equity game.
Yeah.
I know a lot of investors, they normally like to see cash flow, and I would love to see it as well when I get that opportunity. Sometimes I do get it. Like some of my properties I make, plus 1,000, but some other properties I may make only $100 per month. I'm paying the mortgage. I'm more so in the game of appreciation and equity, and I understand that houses are not going to get any cheaper.
Yeah.
And that's just where we are, and especially in the South Florida market. Like, we're in a different belly of the beast down here, where I don't, even if other areas start to kind of peel back as far as value, it's not going to happen in South Florida. So I'm just actively participating.
I feel like we're the world's playground.
Yes.
America's playground, but another for the world. So
a lot is happening down here, man.
Yeah, it helps. It keeps us, I guess, strong foundationally, because no matter what's going on in New York or LA, they're like, well, I'm going to Miami, because it's kind of like the backup, it's the backup, and we're becoming a little Vegas-y.
Yeah,
I feel like with that Hard Rock Guitar Building, I don't know if you noticed that. You think they're gonna be the first one to do that?
Dolphin Stadium. It's just so many different things that we have in South Florida now to offer. Dolphin Stadium, even Miami Marlins Stadium, the Heat, we have
a soccer stadium.
We
got all of them.
Oh my God, people just don't know.
We're just starting.
If people are saying South Florida is expensive now, just wait in the next 2 years.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. And that's another thing, because I remember deals where my buyers at the time were thinking it's so much money. Oh my gosh, I'm like, but you love the house, you can afford it, and then they're not even thinking about the equity of it. And then we're selling the property now. We're talking like less than 5 years ago. I sold them these properties. We're from 2 something to 5 something. Not to like quote growth, but it's just amazing to see. So I guess your investment style, I realize a lot of people, they'll come, some flip, some buy and hold. What's your route of choice?
Well, in the last 3 years, man, I've done both. So I normally keep about 25 to 30% of my properties. The thing is, I normally refinance them. And so it has to make sense financially, in the sense of normally the banks only lend up to 75% of the value. And so if I exceed that, I probably will flip it and sell it, But in most instances, my goal is to keep and retain the properties, especially now. Early on, I was flipping more at a higher rate. But then you understand, as you learn and you go through the business, there's a lot of tax implications that come, along with you flipping properties and, those short-term capital gains. And so, speaking with accountants, they was just advising me, if you can, try to at least hold a property for over a year so you could take advantage of those tax breaks as well. So that's been the goal for me now, is to really just keep building my portfolio. Primarily it's South Florida, but I got other stuff up the road as well.
Okay, so when you're looking at a property, how are you telling yourself whether you're going to keep it or flip it?
So I look at a few things. One, I look at what's going on in the area. I got to believe in the area. So I like to, I do buy virtually sometimes, but, I like to get foot on ground, because I like to get a feel of what's going on. Do I actually believe that this area is, one, going to appreciate, and then what is around it that's going to bring and attract people down the road? So I look at that first, but more so everything is in the numbers. Normally I don't buy over, 65% of the after repair value, because I got to leave myself some room to renovate the property, as well as, I just got to have some equity. And like I say, that 75% rule, I like to try to stay underneath that threshold so I can refinance and get most of my money, if not all of it, back, and then repeat the process. So really just area, numbers, is the most important 2 things that I'm looking at. But then the last thing I look at is rent rate. I like to, because if I am going to hold it, I got to make sure that it exceeds that mortgage amount too. So I try to underwrite deals in a sense of, let me see what the rent rate is for if it's a 2-bedroom house. I need to see what's going in a mile radius to see what the rentals are doing. So I'm not going crazy and trying to ask for an exorbitant amount more than what really is demand in that area.
I get that. So on the note of you saying rules, I realize that's a really big importance to kind of any business. Like I was telling you before we started rolling, I was just winging it my whole career. I started in a small brokerage, and it's my second year in business. As soon as I qualified to be a broker, I just like, I'm out, you know? So I'm teaching myself, and now I'm teaching other people, and that's a dangerous game. So I joined a bigger brokerage, and now I'm learning like rules, systems, and even before in managing properties, you said like when we started dealing with bad contractors, because I'm just trying to find whoever it is, trying to find a friend. I went to high school with you. I got you. Who could, just trying to find the owner the best deal.
Yeah.
Why am I doing that? It's not my money. They want it fixed. They want it fixed fast. They didn't ask you to save them money. So just I guess what are your rules for? Give me some of your rules as far as managing your rental properties and say handling a repair.
Well, for me, to be transparent with you, like when things are going wrong in my properties, I try to fix them as soon as possible. And there's a reason why, because like, one, if I like to try to put myself in the shoes of my tenants is, if there's like, electrical went bad or, things happen over time, right? And so, or the washer went bad, like these people can't wash their clothes, but you want rent on time. Like I try to be as fair as possible and as morally just as possible when being a landlord, because some people just let the problem exist, but then they expect to get their payments on time, and that's just not the person I am. So when it comes to that, like I try to be, more of a speed to, attention type of thing. Now when it comes to like, renovation of properties, like, and making sure that you're not dealing with contractors that are janky, it's tough, so that's why they always say when you get a reliable contractor, you want to try to keep them, because and retain them and make sure that they're happy and you're taking care of them, because you find new people and then you got to relearn those people, and then a lot of times a lot of contractors, unfortunately, they'll take your deposit and live off of that, and then they're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul. They'll take that money to finish another project they already got pending because they took the other client that they had money
I've been
already.
There.
It happens.
They need that deposit to pay for the rest of these materials over here, but they done told this person they'll be back. So, and then
and so for me, like you touched on material. Like it's for me, like I'll buy the material. You can phone sell me. Like Home Depot has accounts where literally they can give your phone number. They call you directly, and you can get them your card number.
You don't let them buy. That's smart.
Yeah, I just need to know labor only.
Pull that. I'm sorry, that's bothering me. You see that code like on that? Oh yeah, that's so much. Yeah,
all right,
bro.
cool.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, but labor only for me. I try to do like how much is the cost of your work, not because like you can get a lot of stuff can get convoluted in a sense, and then it doesn't help you as far as bookkeeping, as far as expenses and write-offs too, because you're not able to use that if your contractor is going ahead and they're going to be able to expense that out.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true, because a lot of times I'd imagine they'll just beef up or they'll estimate what they believe the materials cost, but it's on sale today. It's on. They know if I go to Lowe's, it's cheaper than Home Depot. Not to say that's the case, but I get that.
It happens, and it's a lot of money that you kind of miss out. And you want to be like, you got to think, especially like when you're scaling up and then you're doing multiple at the same time. You want to make sure that you're, being as tight. Your ship is as tight up as possible financially, because you could kind of take the reins off, and then a lot of stuff could be happening, underneath the scenes where you just not seeing it. Then by the time you really do peel back the layers, and you see like, man, I could have done better in this area. I could have saved a couple thousand, and that, once you do that 5-10 times, and that couple thousand turn to 50, like that you could have saved or put towards your business. So it's just about just getting better and just continuously trying to refine the business.
That's what it is. And I guess on that note, one thing I kind of had to tell myself is I lost it, but it's all good. But nonetheless, so how did you educate yourself to get to this level of investor status? Like, are you just trial and error?
Experience, man. Yes, trial and error, 100%. Like I told you in the beginning, like my first investment was my worst investment, right? And so, like I said, it was an expensive lesson. However, it taught me everything that I need to know as far as like, well, what did I do wrong? Like, how did I, underwrite this deal wrong? How did I go wrong in picking this contractor? Did I vet them good enough?
Yeah.
And I think that that along with experience and meeting other individuals who are doing it, at an even higher level than you, it helps because like for instance, like there may be materials that you may be buying, that you can get from wholesale places that put you in a better position financially. You just don't know about them, but someone who's doing 20, 15, 20 flips a year, they buy from them bigger wholesale companies, and it saves you like cabinets $2,500 when you go to Home Depot it's $4,500.
I get that. I heard some investors that do flips say their strategy is they put the same materials in all their properties.
Yes.
They got that one tile, that one toilet. That's that's
the same thing.
That's crazy. Okay.
One, because it's like, man, I don't have the time to like, let me go to Home Depot and pick out.
You know your numbers. I know it's
my
12,000, 1,200 for something. Okay.
I know I'm gonna get this tile for $1.29 a square foot.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna get this vinyl flooring for $150 to $250. I know where to go and get the same stuff, and I just don't have the time because I'm still busy prospecting to find another opportunity and deal. So
you're systemizing it,
right?
Got it.
And then also like once your contractor knows, like they know what to pull and take out already from the store, and just they call you at the register. Like you don't have to have that conversation of like, hey, what do you want? If them FaceTime you, it just becomes like more of a time thing for me.
Got it. They already know the plan. They know how it applies. They know how to.
They know what I want. They know the type of cabinets that I want. They know the type of flooring I want. They know the type of tile that I want. It doesn't change.
Got it. You could just give them the key and say, do it.
100%.
That makes perfect sense. So when you, this was the question I forgot. When you're looking at a potential deal, how are you guesstimating or estimating your repair costs? Because you have your after repair value. How do you know what window to leave yourself?
That's a good question. So honestly, like I like to get a second eye on it. Like I'll go look at a property initially. Like if an agent says, hey, I have an opportunity, I'll go look at it. But I always ask them, I say like, hey, can I bring my contractor by as well? Okay. Because especially if there's like a deal where it's super competitive and it has to be like a 0-day inspection, I got to get at least my guy to look at it to tell me like, at least give me a rough estimate of what we looking at labor wise to do all the things that we want to do in the property. And I get a chance to walk it with him and say, hey, and I also record and make sure like, hey, what we talked about is what we talked about, and we're going to do that, and you're going to honor whatever we spoke about, so that's kind of helped circumvent like you making as many mistakes financially. But then there's sometimes, man, like, when you start peeling back the layers of a home.
You don't know what you're going to get.
You don't know what you're going to get. And I've had those situations where, initially we, estimated a certain cost, and then that's why you leave room for error. So that's why I say, I buy it like 60-65% is because I need room to, if there's another issue that we just didn't anticipate, so I got some room to supplement and make sure that I'm not upside down in the deal. So
got it. But is that like a set rule? Like if it's a flip, you got to be within like a 40% margin, or you will not flex? That's your floor. Like,
for me, that's just my.
I learned,
floor. Because I just, and like there's been houses that I loved and I didn't move on because the numbers wasn't math, and even if I believed in it a little bit more than what the comps were showing in the area. Everything is in the numbers for me nowadays, and I think that's where I made one of my biggest mistakes initially starting out in investing was, jumping out the window because I believed in the area. It was right near University of Houston and Texas Southern University, right in the third ward. So
I get that, but then you don't realize that like the average, they don't really need that many bedrooms, or they don't really want that bigger house. Like demographics really matter, I feel.
100%. And it's like what property you're acquiring in that area is the demographic calling for that. Like, so it's like sometimes, like you said, if you get like a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house,
it may not work on the beach.
It's just not making sense. So. That's what all a part of it is, like really like analyzing and seeing what has really sold in the area, because that same comparables is your supporting evidence that you're going to bring to an appraiser, and that's what make or break the deal when you're trying to sell it or refinance it at the end of the day.
I've seen that. I've seen like a random 5-bedroom huge house in the middle of like 2 ones, and it was just sitting on the market. It was just sitting on the market. It was interesting. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So I guess to backtrack, in my property management days, a few lessons I learned and had to create rules for myself. If something needs to get repaired, call a company that does that thing. I used to get a handyman to do every single thing, and it was so stressful because you didn't pay him in full for this, he's not going to go. Or like something showed up, he got a leak over here. That's one thing. The second thing is, don't just trust, let me show you a picture of a bathroom I've done. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know how you pick your contractors or how you get introduced. Your current handyman, how did you meet him? Your go-to contractor. How did y'all come in
How
contact?
did we meet? By referral. And I think that's the biggest thing, like finding trusted people that have done this in volume in the business and can vouch for certain people. Because like, you know, if you don't really have anybody that you know is doing this, and it's tough, man. You're gonna go through a rough patch when it comes to trying to find reliable workers. It's the biggest thing that make or breaks a deal, really. To be honest with you, outside of you underwriting the deal, is really the support in the team that you have to renovate these properties. Because what can happen is your inventory can sit, because they may be working multiple jobs, not just your property. They may be spot working you just to get your money in, and then also spot working somebody else. And then when you're in an investment, time is of the essence, and that's a cost. It's a holding cost associated with having that property. And so, like, every day counts. Like, you know, you got to stay on top of it for sure.
That's true. And on that note, it brings me to the second rule I had to put into place. When something is emergently leaking, don't just have that go-to plumber. It just, because they're not always going to show up. They're not going to do it right. I had a plumber do a bad job, and I had to send another plumber. Oh, and back to the whole don't just go off the picture of a bathroom. I trusted a guy to do a bathroom at a condo I was managing. Took 2 months. 2 months because he took the deposit. He actually got paid in full, and then had to go miraculously go do a job over here, then do a job over here. And then he would send me pictures, like, to try to stop story. So he had a picture of him with his baby in a car seat in the bathroom, talk about, I'm sanding as hard as I can. I had to come with my daughter. I ain't had no child. I'm like, do that bathroom, man. Like,
what does that have to do with
so
me?
that went on. Then he flooded 2 units below us. If we're on the 3rd floor, we flooded the 2nd floor and the 1st floor.
God.
It was a whole thing, and we're still dealing with it. So I wish we just paid the extra $400 or whatever it costs.
That you just hit on something.
To go to somebody that does bathrooms.
Yes, that you just hit on something. A lot of people try to go with the cheapest person. That's not always the best.
Yeah.
You also should beware of that. You know, like, why is your cost substantially this much? Like, you should always get multiple quotes.
Yeah.
But I like to pick the middle guy. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
okay, I got
me.
something on that after. So how I got to this case, I had fired the handyman I've been going with, because like, he just got, I don't know how, but we get to this point where it's just like, you using me a lot, because I'm a good handyman. Skyrocket the price. So I'm like, I don't have time to negotiate, because I learned from a very seasoned investor when I started my business. If their first price don't work, move on to somebody else. That's the price. Because I realized if I call a chandelier company and stuff, I'm not gonna sit there like, you know, that's the price. So I need to only work with companies where the price is the price.
Yeah.
They take it more seriously.
Yeah, and then my experience is when you try to negotiate a contractor down from what they've already asked,
they're going to try to slack it off. They're going to try to reduce the service.
Every time.
It's not worth it.
Every time.
Yeah,
So, yeah, they're like, okay, yeah, I'll do it for that price, but you're going to get
No, I just tell her, look, this is the price. This is how much it is to fix this. Do you want this fixed?
Yes.
Another thing, don't let leaks or anything wait, because if it's a small leak, I tell landlords who try to say, let's have the tenant pay all repairs under $500 or something like that. I'm like, they're not going to fix it.
Right.
If there's a small leak, they're going to be like, I don't even pay water here. It's just going to sit there, and then it's a flood. And now it's over $500. It's just going to wait till it costs more. So just stay on top of your property. And I've been watching Ben Malo on YouTube, and he taught me pride of quality, which you touched on. You want to... I tell my clients this, you want to make sure we can attract the best possible applicants. Right. We don't want to just attract people who are just looking to take what they can get.
100%.
So if the property looks run down, qualified applicants have a lot of options, you know, so it's important to realize that. And just the same, you got to take care of them during the lease, because they can go over to this luxury apartment community, which they're more than qualified for, and pay way less than they probably have to pay to move into yours, and they're going to fix it today.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I say, like, it's about speed to an issue. You know, it matters. Not just, you want to be able to retain your tenants. You don't want to keep having a high turnover. Then you got to relearn somebody else. What if that next person doesn't pay on time? Like, they just a habitual late payer, you know? So when you have those good tenants, I try, honestly, not to go up on the rent, you know, year over year. Like, if you're good, you're always on time. We don't have any issues. You know, you call me when there is an issue. And I think that's big, too, because some tenants I've had in the past will they don't want to call you because they don't want.
Yeah.
They sometimes may think that you may have an issue with them calling, but because of the past experiences they may have had with other landlords, and so like
they don't want to get charged. They think they gotta pay.
They think they're gonna have to pay when that's just not the case. You're really helping me out because if I'm able, like you said, to address an issue that's happening before it, a water leak turns into mold,
That's remediation. You can't just pour bleach on it.
So now I got to rip out the drywall. I got to get behind it. Like
it's good you do that. I've been in an apartment. They just said pour some bleach on it. They told me to pour bleach on it. I did it.
Nah.
It died. I left it alone.
Yeah. It depends on how long it's been there, though.
Yeah.
So it's like if you.
It came back. I just
threw
some more bleach. just kept bleach by it.
Yeah. Well.
I live in a luxury apartment community now. They ain't no more.
So but that's the thing though. Like you don't want problems to exist over time because it gets worse and worse, and then it costs you more.
Yeah, way more. Mold remediations are in the thousands. People don't know that. God. It's more than bleach.
They stealing 100%. Mold remediation companies are stealing.
I also learned that you can't have the same company assess the mold that is remediating the mold.
I just learned something new.
Yeah, it's actually illegal, and I actually learned this the hard way because my first mold remediation, I had the company that assessed it, remediated. They charged like $4,000, and then the mold came back the next year, and we had to pay $4,000 more, and and then it came back, so we sold the house.
Jesus Christ.
We just sold the house because I don't know systems enough to even know what to do here. Like I'm calling a mold remediation company. There's mold. This is what you do.
There's some moisture coming from somewhere.
It turned out to be the AC vents. They were like leaking more.
Yeah,
it needed and then it had the Jalous. How do you say the crank windows?
Jealousy, I think.
Jealousy. Well, the windows that over like this, so you crank it like that. Yeah. You can't have those windows with central AC because the central AC is gonna suck in all that humidity and it's gonna give you mold. It's gonna just shoot out the AC vents. So all the vents are just moldy. So
Jesus Christ.
just sold it.
Yeah.
Sold it.
Yeah. Because then you would have had to replace all the windows. That would have got pricey too.
We sold it for like $325. They bought it for $95 cash. Damn. $325 cash. Moldy. So think about that. Like, and this is a house that needs to be fully renovated. So all right, this was good. I really like this. This is cool. Yeah. But I guess should we drop like a few more like rules of the game? Like, okay, give me. Whoever come up with the first rule of the game that they want to share first.
Let's see.
I got one.
Go.
When you are dealing with a problem with a lease situation, the tenant's late. The tenant is messing up something. Just go with what the lease says in black and white. If something's broken, send them a 15-day notice to cure. If they are late, a day late. If it's late on the 5th, on the 6th, just post a 3-day notice.
Yeah.
If they want to, this is not legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. If they want to pay you a partial rent, take it. Give them a new 3-day notice with the new balance.
Yep.
Don't go no conversations because now I done talked to you and delayed you for 2 weeks. Now here's a 3-day notice.
Yep.
Now you pay me partial. Now so now I'm 3 months in and we're just not starting the eviction. Now you want to fight the eviction.
Yeah.
4 months.
And then when you are kind of on top of it like that, they know you kind of no nonsense in a sense of like hey, we just doing business. I think a lot of tenants try to like you say lean and give somewhat of a soft start. And people go through hard times too.
Yeah.
It's just like I've kind of got to a point where I don't even want to know who's the owner.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Because like when you kind of create sometimes that relationship. They sometimes make hey, like I can try him a little bit, take advantage of his kindness, and it's just. And then one thing about it, like once they're late, they're probably gonna habitually be late because it's hard to pay your rent on September 15th and then on October 1st be on time.
Yeah,
everybody mostly get paid every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna have that whole rent amount again 2 weeks later. So then it just creates like a habitual cycle that you just. You're a part of, but your mortgage comes every first of the month.
The first. They give you a little leniency in when it's due at most times, but still.
A few days or whatever.
Yeah, I had an owner once tell me just on the lease you want the rent due on the 10th of every month. I was like, all right, bet. But they were still late. Yeah. So it's like my problem is I really sucked in the beginning of my career, and I got better through just trial and error. So I would just text everybody like who's late. Like, hey, just want to see when can you pay it? Like, I just want to let the owner know. Yeah. Why am I doing that? Because they don't never pay it on the day. Well, they do, but sometimes they won't pay it. So I've done evictions personally. I've been to eviction court, and then I finally got it resolved after 3 months. We went to court. They said, all right, we'll leave. They let their dogs just like crap all over the floor. Like it was just trash. And that happened to me twice. Twice. I went to 2 different properties to retrieve the keys after personally evicting the tenant. and they both let their dogs crap on the floor. It doesn't make sense. I had one, they ripped out all the wires.
Oh my God.
Like, it was just, they just left it in, like,
I mean, to be honest with you,
how do you prevent that, you know?
Me personally, like, what I do is I collect 2 security deposits.
I had to stop. Like, I just stopped. I stopped making it social. Like, what the lease say?
Yeah. To kind of prevent that, I collect 2 security deposits, not because I want to, it's because I have to protect my interest.
That's not 1 month is not enough to protect some properties.
Right. Like, every property I do, I bring it up to 2024 standards, meaning new windows, new roof, new AC. So
that's good. Some people just rent it out like that.
Yeah, I normally don't. Like, I normally, like, take everything out and redo everything. So you're going to get...
You attract the best possible tenant.
I try to.
Okay. And retention is important because you got to think every time they move out, you got to clean, paint, fix the light bulbs, and pay a commission.
I rather...
Most likely.
Yep.
And then you run in the dice because this tenant, they may pay slightly more, but they may be more late. They may have more issues. They may be, like, over the place.
I've had that situation. Yeah, the rent increased, but the new tenant that you got was hell.
And then we had to evict that one. I've had a property, I had to put 3 tenants in within 1 year.
That's crazy.
3. And they had to turn around each time. 3.
That's a lot of work. Knock on wood.
It's all screening. Like you got to, and then you got to be careful because you got these fake identities with socials, and they'll give you a background check. And
so like even when a real estate agent wants to rent out one of my help one of their clients lease one of my properties, I don't want your background check. I want to do it on my own independently. I don't want. I don't want you to, because like you say, a lot of fake stuff could be going on. I don't have time.
So when multiple people are applying, how are you choosing? Like, do you just let them all apply?
Yeah, like
you just let them know, look, it's gonna cost this much.
Application fee. I mean, I really don't try to kill anybody. Like, I just need the fee to be able to pay for the background search,
and you have your set approval standards.
And then now, as
rules,
as agents, we have other support and stuff like Forewarn that helps you get some level of a background from them, for free.
I love Forewarn. You put on their number just to verify they're even the person they say they are.
Exactly. So that has helped tremendously as well. Like, some people, you go in there, they tell you like that, their criminal record. They tell you like they have foreclosures, because if they have, you don't want to fault them for having a foreclosure, but that is something to pay attention to, because that means that they fell on some level of financial hard times and they weren't able to, fulfill their financial obligation. Yeah.
So I learned you got to look at the overall application and see like, okay, so has the situation been resolved? So since then, okay, now their income is this. So that's handled.
Yeah. You just got to get a little bit deeper understanding, not to say that you're going to turn them off because they've had a foreclosure, but I got more questions now.
You got to qualify. You can't just... I've seen owners just say they work and they just took them. I've seen owners be too tense on there. Like, I'm like, bro, like,
it's too much.
It's $500 a month. We don't need that much income qualification, So it's little things like that. But even then, I've learned to not flex, because I got into a lot of the eviction problems that I got into and realizing where I could have just been more stern in my qualifying.
In the beginning.
I letting people talk to me and tell me, yeah, but look, trust me, I'll pay it. Like, I got this new job. I'm like, okay, they say everything, but you can't do that.
You can't.
What did your rules say? Follow the rules, follow the lease, and you'll be okay. If there's an issue, the Landlord-Tenant Act is at the bottom of all my leases. So you can go to whatever the problem is, what does it say we do about it?
Yeah, I've had situations, like, to go back and deeper dive into what you were talking about, like, lease is important. Black and white is what trumps everything. I had a situation where I was selling a property, and the tenant, in the lease, I said, if in the event that I ever have to sell this property while you're occupying the space, with adequate notice 24 hours prior, I should be able to, show the property to potential buyers.
Yeah.
That time came where I decided, I'm going to sell this property. Tenant was like, you can't come in here.
We got to talk about selling properties with tenants in it real quick. Okay, go ahead.
My own house. And they're telling me, no, you can't come in here. I was like, I'm giving you the adequate notice, written notice on, to you in person. And that's why I say, like, when you talked about, like, notice and doing stuff on time, make sure you document, taking a timestamp photo. Like, this was given to this tenant, because when you go to court and you got to maybe evict them or get them to comply with you.
Because they're violating the lease.
Yeah, because they're violating the lease terms at that point.
It's not legal advice.
Yeah, not legal advice. But it does matter what's in the lease and what's in black and white, what both parties agreed to.
Yeah.
And so if they kind of go against that, then you got to just turn it over to the higher powers.
That makes sense. So what I realize in selling properties with tenants is sometimes they will not cooperating because I'll be asking, like, can we show it this day? And they're like, they said no. I'm like, can I talk to them? Sometimes when I talk to them, like, yeah, sure, come by, because they just don't like the owner. They pissed off because you made them pay the rent and the AC still leaking. You know, it worked, but it leaked. You know, it's little things like that. So I always say, all right, if you have a hard time talking or communicating with your tenant, try to hand it off to a realtor. Even the same, I've had people who hire me to manage their properties just so the tenant don't know who the manager is, because they won't take them seriously, but they'll take me seriously because I'm a stranger. You don't know me, and I don't care to evict you. Like,
experience is everything. Like, like you said, like when the tenant has a bad taste in their mouth, they'll do stuff out of spite to circumvent you from selling the property. So like it may take a different voice for them to comply. And then honestly, sometimes they don't read the lease, or they didn't read it in its entirety, and then like you have to show them like, hey, per this provision here in the lease, I'm allowed to, get access to my property with adequate notice. They can't keep you out of your home. You know, and I think
they can say this time doesn't work. How about this time? But even then, you have the key. Like, you have access. You can just say, look, I need to come in here.
You know, and
I'm saying they'll do that, and I'm in a corporation. So
so it happens, man. I've been in those situations where a tenant just, not for me treating them, wrongly or anything, but more so, I was charging them substantially less than what the market demanded.
That's another issue we got.
That is an issue, because then when you decide to sell, right,
they're not going nowhere.
That was my issue.
It's a shell shock. They like, what? They like you're doing them a disservice. You got to kind of prep them. Like, look, this what's out there.
Right, and I tried my best to do that, and they just didn't like the news of the house was going to be sold at some point. And so they were like,
it's there now. They want to try to buy it.
Yeah, it was in Opalaga. I was charging like $1,600 when the rent could have been like $22, $23.
Yeah,
so,
you might get in the threes now for it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and so they knew what was going on. This is like in the pandemic, and they saw like rent had skyrocketed, and I'm sorry that but I have to sell the house. You can't prevent me from doing such. So,
another thing I ran into, because I'll encounter in managing properties, I'll encounter owners who just have problem tenants. They're like, look, they don't listen, they don't pay on time. I'm like, well, what's the rent? $1,200 when the market's $24. I'm like, why they taking that? Like, so a lot of times landlords, like, by not increasing the rent, sometimes you're doing the tenants a disservice and yourself, because you're leaving thousands on the table. So I'll come into these properties and for the my lease turnaround program, and I'll show them what the market is saying, and they're amazed because they were at 1,200 and I'm telling them we're at 36 right now. Just depending on where you at and the size. So even if you show them, look, this is the market, and discount it, I would always do that. I would say, look, let's do a $25 increase because the market says raise it to 50. That's how.
That's amazing. I never looked at it that way, and then that also helps you convey over to the tenant that hey, like, we're being fair with this increase as opposed to what as opposed to what the market is demanding. We're not trying to kill you. And I think like when you said that made sense, because then it makes them feel like like, dang, they kind of a fair
go check. I'll say take some time, let me know, and that gives them time to check the market and see what where else can I move to, and they're like, oh, I ain't nowhere I could go to, and they usually not gonna negotiate with you. If they try to negotiate with you, I can now be firm, like, we're not going that low. I would, at this price, it makes more sense to renovate, put somebody new in here.
100%.
Also, on that note, if you need to do a big increase, let's just say you haven't increased in the last few years, and now the market's crazy, I would suggest to my owners to offer the tenants upgrades. So look, if you agree to this price, I'll give you a new fridge. If you agree to this price, but every renewal, you're not gonna just renovate in a decade out because they're still there. Just do something little.
Something to incentivize the tenant
so when they do leave, then you finish. Now finish, do the floors, paint,
that's
all that.
That's a great idea.
That's
a great idea. I never looked at it like that, man.
I just be watching like investment YouTube and helping people do it. So
dope.
That's how I look at it. Like, I haven't been hell bent on like getting my own investment property, just because number one, I got so much going on mentally, and I'm looking at it as, okay, I'm already getting paid off of properties for other people, but now I'm in systems, like I'm grown. I'm much older. I started when I was 23. Now, all right, I need to get in the game. 100%. So I got this property in St. Croix. My grandfather signed it over to me, so I'm gonna stack up some commissions and send it over there and see what it look like. You know?
I mean, listen, man. I always am a proponent for buying property, man. Because like I said, especially in South Florida, at least, like and this is not just with real estate. This is just with assets in general. When there's a supply issue, that means the value is high.
We have a supply issue here. You'll notice the smalls they're building, the houses they're building are smaller,
very much smaller,
and closer.
You know, and hopefully at some point, you know, they start allowing like ADUs, accessory dwelling units, because there's a lot of yard spaces.
They're talking about that now.
They got to, because it's overpopulated in South Florida, and there's a housing crisis, and there's nowhere. It's landlocked outside of like down south Homestead area. There's no vacant land. Like, you go to Charlotte, North Carolina, or something. Land is everywhere, so they have new developments popping up every day. Yeah. But like in South Florida market, we're in the process of just fighting over existing inventory. Yeah. So like the in my opinion, the best way to combat that housing crisis is to allow additional housing on these properties that have large lots. Like, you know, I got a property on a 10,000 square foot lot. It would be prime location to do something for like a ADU on there, you know.
Because I'm realizing because I've been taking commercial classes, and I became a state director for Florida, and in my last director meeting, they just touched on how to solve the affordable housing issue. They're gonna do, I forgot if it's a tax break, an incentive, an initiative, or something finance wise, to help more homeowners get accessory dwelling units, like efficiencies on their properties, because it doesn't need to be zoned duplex. Don't worry about it. We will let you do it. Yeah, that's perfect for the situation, because it's so many global people coming in from New York and LA for $2,000 a month. They're like, it's nothing. Yeah. But people here that's used to $900. My first apartment was $725 a month. That's how long I've been staying on my own. $725 a month, bro. That's the one where they say spray the bleach on there. My last straw, I'm at a closing. My wife caught me because it was a mouse like running around. So I was like, all right, we not renewing. Yeah. They wanted $775, and I'm like, y'all tripping. $775. I'm out of there. You know. Now, yeah, that was my rule for life. So every year, like, I just have to move into a nicer place than the last, but still, you know, fiscally responsible. Just because, like, it's like I gotta get out of the situation. You know, I gotta better. So I just got better. The next place, you know, it didn't have mold. It still had mice though. But my last straw was this huge crater opened up in my bathroom ceiling, but they couldn't fix it because the ACs on the roof was leaking, and they had to replace the roof to fix the hole because it would keep leaking. So the entirety of my lease, there's a hole in the bathroom. So that happened. So I'm like, I'm out. I ain't renewing. So then I moved to the next place.
You've been on the.
I've been on the shit in. Bro, you said I got gray hair.
Yeah.
I'm 33, bro. I'm 33. I'm tired, but we gotta keep going. We gotta keep going. Definitely. But it's like it drives me to kind of like stay ahead of like, cause I'm proud of where I am for my age. You know, like I just try to pace myself.
We still young, man. We got a lot of life ahead of us, man. You know, and that's the exciting thing about it. You know, and you know, sometimes I think. And I'm speaking personally for myself.
No, that's where we at. No, that's just part of it.
Sometimes you just get hard on yourself, like, because you want to, you know, be in maybe a higher space than what you.
I'm very hard on myself. Yeah.
But all of that is about perspective, man.
That's it.
What I'm learning.
That's what gets me through. That's what gets me kind of like, damn, man, because I had a friend ask me like, bro, with all you do, like, you got a real estate podcast, like, shouldn't you be making more money than you do? And I'm like, fuck, man, I'm embarrassed. Like, I probably should, you know, but it's like, no matter how much you make, it's still something making money, and they gonna be looking at you like, you should be making more than me because I'm doing less than you. But it's like, I just got so many moving parts, but I'm glad I'm here. I'm in Keller Williams. I'm in the Pines office. I got a corner office. You see this nice. So we going. This is actually my best year. I got the most production I've ever had now in the first half than I've ever had. So I'm just trying to.
And that speaks volume now. Yeah. Like, you had your highest production in some of the slowest periods in the last 5 years, right?
Because the way everybody's struggling is how I've been doing it. Yeah. Because now it's like the wing it point. How you gonna explain to people that they gotta pay you? That's what I've been trying to figure out, you know. So I'm ahead of the game now. So it's
I mean,
pivots. Listen, it's a pivotal moment.
It's about, like you say, pivoting, and then, you know, because there's a way to make money in every market. Like, it's not just only when the market is, you know, hot and doing crazy numbers where you can make money. No, even if the market is on a downturn, there's opportunities. Like, there's always going to be somebody who's on financial hardships that you can help service out of their situation and then get back on track. Yeah. You know, I know that's your group, Investment Property Gurus.
Solutions Group. I added that. Solutions Group.
Okay.
You said it's new. It's new.
But look, exactly.
The Investment Property Gurus Solutions Group.
That's what it's about, though. Is helping being more of a solution-based agent or a real estate professional in its totality, because that's what, you know, that's the people that's going to last in the business, you know. Everybody could have sold something in the pandemic when rates was 2-3%.
Right, but now you got to be a good agent.
You got to be a good agent. You got to know how to put it together for somebody. So, you know, and my company name is Noble Home Solutions, like solution-based, cool. You know.
Solutions is where we at right now. Everybody got problems. We got to solve them. Yeah. We problem solvers.
Yeah, man. And that's what it's about, man. It's about, like, you know, being able to be an asset, not just somebody that wants to take a commission.
Right.
Help me navigate get out of my space that I'm in, and then also put me on a plan to where we can get back on track to make my life make sense again.
Exactly. I'm big on helping the client first. Like my commissions are very negotiable. Like, all right, because you got to look at, well, how much you got to pay off. You know, like what's your numbers looking at? I'm not gonna make more than you on your deal. So you got to work with people as realtors. So
it's important, man.
I like it. I know you got to go. We gonna close. I'm not gonna keep you here.
Hey man, we go. We rocking, man.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. But this went well. Last thing I just want to leave everybody with is to take something seriously, because I kind of feel like that's how we kind of both got to where we are.
Yeah.
You got a nice Tesla. That's a nice Tesla. He tinted the windshield. I ain't never seen a Tesla with a tinted windshield, because it's all windshield. So just imagine just black. Yeah. Just black gloss. That's just riding down the street. Man. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Okay.
Appreciate it.
No, of course. So I appreciate all the game you put us on. We're going to drop some reels. And we should do this again, because this was a lot.
Listen, I liked it.
Yeah, if you join the office, it's a studio. I'm like helping them hook up in there.
Yeah, I heard.
Oh, yeah. So I changed it since you've been there. I went up in there.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you for having me, dude. I know it's been a long time coming. We was on, the YPN board together for some time, man. But
how was that for you?
It was great, man. For me, man, I just was going in a phase where, like, I had just had the baby, and I was like,
we had our babies
we had the same time. Yeah. I think our wives were both pregnant
at
the
those
same
kind of conference. And I was looking like, oh, they pregnant too.
Just going through that, and that was our first, and so we just, I was trying to learn parenthood in itself. So
I'm still, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
People don't talk about it, man.
Your baby kept having blowouts. I remember you having like your hands was dirty, boy.
Listen, I just pulled up a picture the other day. I showed my wife of a memory, and he had poop like literally.
That kept happening to you. I'm like, oh man, what's wrong?
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I was like, what are you eating, dude? This breast milk you got is.
That's what it is. That's what it is. My kids was on bottles, so I had a problem, but not as like you had that problem, boy. Man, you was out there, you in the trenches. So hats off to you.
It's been rewarding, and also it creates a different kind of drive, because you got people depending on you now. So
there's things I used to care about that I don't no more, and 100%. Things that I never cared about that I do now. So like I don't even hang out. I'm out at home. Like this how I hang out. This how I hang out with people. I was like,
that's it.
You gotta have something. You gotta have motion to see me now. You know,
100%.
Not to say like I'm gonna check on my people.
Yeah, but I get you, man. Like, because like every second counts, man, when trying to,
I don't know how long. Like, honestly, there's another problem with me. I didn't, like, you don't know yourself at a certain age. So that's why I always had a problem with saving and investing, because I don't know if I'm going to be here at this age, because my dad died at 26. So I'm older than my dad, and then I don't have no uncles or no grand, so it's like I don't know a black male this old. Like, I'm ancient in my head. Yeah, all my friends don't have that. So it's just like now I'm learning, like, oh shit, I got to be. I don't have a choice.
Yeah, now you got legacy.
Yeah, so now I gotta think about my actions. And
man. Yeah.
That's where we at. So we're gonna do some more podcasts and put people on game and learn from people.
I
appreciate you.
Brother,
yes, sir. I appreciate you. This was good. We're gonna drop this, and I'm excited to see. I'm gonna watch this one. This is
Yeah.
gonna be good. Yeah. All right. I don't know how to close, but we out.